to play in this game. It's like, do we want to try and out-mechanic Febiven, or do we want to try and force them onto utility? It's just the decision that they have to make here, but they will be banning at least one of them away for certain. Zed Echo banned away from H2K. Once again, reminder, H2K being on the blue side for this entire series, prioritizing their blue side, while Fnatic prioritizing red. Nidalee and Lissandra, first two banned from Fnatic.
Let's find out if the next ones are the same. It would be a Zeolution if we were going to go by Game 4 standards. Zia was picked as a last pick for Fnatic in Games 1 and 2, and it worked. It will not be available, so no changes for H2K.
And Deficio was talking a little bit about letting the Lissandra through. Lucian has been banned. I still think we're going to see first pick Kindred here. I actually disagree with Deficio on letting the Lissandra through. I think it was too good at allowing H2K to play a fast and loose game that it would force Fnatic to first rotate the Lissandra. And that's a situation where you've given away a lot of your pacing in the pick and ban phase, and unless you can get such a favorable top matchup that it can win you the game, then it's a big risk in pick and bans if you don't over-prioritize it.
And is not picking Maokai or Siva or Kindred a big risk this game? If the trend is to be believed, it'll be Kindred first pick. Now is where the steals come in. This is what the analyst desk was alluding to.
Yeah.
Take some picks away from your opponent that are also powerful, and it's not the ones we were expecting.
But the problem is there are still other picks available here. We have not seen Poppy prioritized in this draft at all this series, but she is still there as a top-tier top laner. And Fnatic have gone all in on saying, okay, Odo, what have you got? What have you got for us top lane?
And with the Trundle being picked up as well, Civ is still on the table for Febiven if he wants it, but it depends what type of composition they want to build here. And now H2K kind of discussing this one. I mean, it's definitely taken away one of those picks that Odoamne's played in this entire series, but what's for certain is they pick up the first Kindred once again.
Where does the cookie crumble? 15 seconds left on the clock. Again, serious faces for H2K.
It's got to be Braum here. Vander can take away the Braum. You can either go Braum or Alistair. What do H2K want to go with it? I mean, the Trundle has been locked in as the support here, but you don't want to show too much more unless you're that confident in the Ryze.
Wow.
It can be a flex. I'm not expecting it to be. I'm expecting it to be mid for Ryu here. Hide the top lane for H2K. Hide the support for now. Fnatic, what are they going to bring out? They're looking at jungle. Graves has been the pick this entire series.
Yeah, I mean, that's been like, what, their second rotation every single game? Graves, Ezreal now coming out.
Yeah, 100% correct, young Padawan. Graves has been picked second rotation for Fnatic every game.
Fantastic. Apart from that game with the first rotation Ezreal. So, yeah, waiting on those last two pickups from H2K. Braum would be fine.
I mean, at this point, Fnatic are in such a familiar position. They have an Ezreal locked in. Now how scaling is their mid lane pick? Into Ryze, where do you go? Do you go early game, put Febiven on something that is all or nothing to win this game? Or do you bank on scaling once again? Try and play something like the Kassadin and play a more passive game.
It's so tough because H2K have shown in the last two games they can play early, they can dive, and they can do it coordinated. So if Fnatic go for that risk, it's going to be a challenge. With 3 seconds left on the clock, the champions that will get locked in for H2K include Poppy and Braum. No real surprises.
But the Kassadin game, keep in mind, was the game with the Lissandra in, with the fast comp that wanted to fight very quickly. In this situation, H2K, yes, they have decent fight potential. They have the Braum, they have Poppy, they have Corki, these tools that are okay earlier into the game, looking at fights, but it is not the same setup as an Alistair, a Lissandra, that kind of setup. And I mean, there's no spell shield this time for Febi's Cassio, but I think that's a riskier pick than perhaps they need to go for.
Yeah, but what are the other options here? Because Azia's been taken off the table, there's no Zed, and then if you're really looking for an outplay champion who can literally just 1v5 the game and make that star outplay which wins the game, Cassiopeia would be the pick, but we just had an entire game of Fnatic not being able to make that work. Really?
Ooh. It's not locked in yet. It's not locked in yet. I don't like to talk about hovers until it is locked in. And with 2 seconds left on the clock, a collective sigh as Fnatic bank on the lane, neutralizer Orianna, and they're going for late.
Yeah, they're going for later in the game, but look at what they have though. Maokai, Orianna, Graves. If that combo hits, you win the game in a later game team fight. But man, the collective just sigh, the deflation.
We have 3 playmakers. It was like Ori. But no, Ori can make those big plays late game as well, especially with Maokai into the mix. But Fnatic are basically making the statement that we're going to go late, and we're going to make better decisions than you, H2K, and we're going to out-team fight you.
That is the first Orianna on the LCS stage all year long for Febiven. And we need to see how well he's going to perform with this champion. The Wombo combo, if you get a good ball delivery system with that Graves or that Maokai, it can be game-changing. But I think it's going to be challenging into Braum, into Poppy, into Ryze.
It's hard. It's really hard. But from H2K's perspective as well, I mean, it's harder to get into those fights. They don't have the instant point-and-click CC. There's no Lissandra, there's no Maokai now.
For the last time of the spring split, Prolly and Daylor have shaken hands. That is it for them. It is in their players' hands now. Their fate rests with the teams.
It really does, and we'll find out where the momentum lies. This is for 50 championship points, for 3rd place in the spring split. And once this game concludes, North America will take off with Team Liquid versus Immortal. So hello to anyone in NA, in Mandalay Bay that's busy watching. But now, it's Europe's turn. It's Game 5, and it's H2K taking on Fnatic.
And for the final time today, make sure you hit us up on Twitter, hashtag H2KWin, hashtag FNCWin. See where your heart lies. I think I already know the answer. I know where the audience heart lies in this one.
In the heart of the cards. Febiven and Ryu set themselves up in the mid lane. Crowd seems a little torn between you and NA from what I can hear. Regardless of that fact, no deep wards, all right? No vision being placed by either squad. Fnatic have been the ones that I feel have initiated those deep pushes more than H2K throughout the series. And we'll find out whether or not we're going to have lane swap.
And to revisit the very first set of games from today, the very first game where we were talking about Fnatic will benefit in the lane swap, H2K should benefit in standard lanes for the 2 versus 2. We haven't seen the same impact from that we saw in game 1 of the day. It seems like Rekkles and Klaj started to play a little bit better around that in the games that we saw with the 2v2, but still it is that strength for H2K.
And also important to note that it was Trundle in both of those games that, yes, Klaj fell behind early on. However, as the match played on, he had pretty good pillar placements, applied pressure multiple times, and successfully ganked Ryu in that middle lane, back-to-back games.
I also like this play. When you have Maokai in the side lane, it means that you can set up the sapling preemptively. It used to be 120, which when you place them down, then you can do it earlier, now that those have been buffed up. Just helping Spirit for his early player.
Yeah, good guy Gamsu gets Spirit out on the map a little bit faster on, and look at what he's doing with it. Spirit is heading down in the bottom jungle, looking for Jankos, who should be on his red buff right now. We're about to have a smite up.
He's got the timing perfectly down, but Jankos, no Spirit's here. Q goes down, but you're right, there's no smite. There's no smite war, and Spirit's dragging it back towards him. The patience meter is going down, and it's going to come down to auto attack. There's the burst. Spirit, he secures it, and now he goes after Jankos. He's going to be backing away. I mean, he's not going to get help from the mid lane, and he literally can't. And Spirit shoves Jankos out of his own jungle.
Oh man, that could prove to be crucial there, because Spirit pushes Jankos so far away. Neither one had smite, so nobody could really take advantage of the early invade off that, but still, that is a big win for Spirit. It all comes from that initial sapling onto the Wolves. The 3 saplings, now it's going to allow Spirit to control the bottom side jungle. Will drop back for his blue at some point.
And of course, with Jankos playing the day and night champion, the Lamb and the Wolf. He's had 2 games where he was a Wolf and he was eaten alive, and 2 games where he turned himself into the Lamb and got destroyed. Which one will it be today? Already under pressure from Spirit. Fnatic, let's find out how they play these Australia lanes. Klaj actually moved into the jungle to place a ward on that red buff, so we'll see if there's information provided.
Like, this is just so smart. Like, this is a play they've literally thought about, and it's like, this is exactly how we plan it. Klaj, you do this at this time, and then you go for this invade with Maokai. So well thought out. And having something in the bank for Game 5 of this series, knowing it comes down to this game, is incredibly good to flare up your opponent.
And at this point, look at how this plays out for Jankos. He had the mark of the Kindred on the enemy camp that he can't invade on, so Spirit goes, okay, I'm going to take that. Now there's a ward on this red buff, allows Spirit to know that Jankos wasn't making a very fast play. Vander's going to come and try and ward up just to see if he can spot Spirit out on the way through, but Spirit pulls back away, and now he's looking for mid lane. But again, the warding from Fnatic is just enough to hold this. Spirit's already done, and he's got the information that he's getting out here. H2K away behind the play. Now they'll see where Spirit is, but they cannot afford to go aggressive on it.
5 games in a row where Jankos first picks Kindred and is the same blue-red delineation. That preparation coming into Game 5 could be reading their opponents throughout the previous 4 matches.
And the other point from this is now Jankos has been 3-buffed because he can't afford to go into the bottom side jungle without mid and bot pushing, which luckily for him now they are. They were not initially as he headed up into the top side jungle, but look at how Ryze is. Febi now needs to push Ryze back slightly, but Poppy is going to push in towards the Maokai. The problem is to group on that blue buff is very risky this early on. You can see Jankos just goes, okay guys, I can't get it. I'm going to have to retreat to my jungle and look to farm this up off smaller camps.
Spirit is so far ahead right now. Jankos will be getting level 4 after this, and Spirit is like a full half level ahead, if not a little bit more. And you can see the gold difference as well, just between the 2 junglers, because he managed to get that. And looking towards the bottom lane now, in that one-on-one. Talked about the Poppy and haven't seen it at all prioritized in this series so far, but Odoamne finally picking this champion up. And I feel like Odoamne can do more by himself in this game as well with that pick.
But I think the interesting thing is we haven't actually seen it from Odo in playoffs. He played it in the regular season, 3 games, 2 wins on it. And we always thought it was a particularly strong champion for Odo. It gives him a lot of flexibility, tankiness damage, the ability to skirmish pretty well. Now we're finally seeing it in the last game for H2K of the spring split. Is it going to be enough? Because Gamsu fell behind drastically in the last game.
He also put so much faith on the right pick as well in the middle lane, and now that's been picked up. There's a slight CS advantage to Febiven, but it's really negligible at this point. And also that lane is just going to neutralize as well, so we just have to see what it does later on into this game, but right now that's just a farming frenzy.
Yeah, both of those champions are going to do very well once they become activated in the mid to late game, but also both somewhat reliant on the rest of their team, you know? Either setting up for a good shockwave for Febi or providing enough threat to allow Ryu to run circles around his opponent. I think that's Jankos' first mark of the Kindred, and he's immediately going to make his way up top towards Klaj. King of First Blood, is he back?
Well, Klaj's dropping low. Jankos, he gets the flash, so we're close.
Oh.
Looping around, there's a ward as well.
I think they might die for this one. There's a teleport available for Odoamne. He's already started to channel it. They're looking for Rekkles and Klaj. There's no flash for Klaj.
But Spirit is very close. They need to pull the trigger. They need to do it right now. Odoamne goes in, slams Klaj against the wall. Spirit now comes into the fight. Jankos, he's going to use the dance virus to get away. First blood to Odoamne in this 5th game. Now Spirit looking to back away, and that's a clean first blood.
Oh, Febi's here though.
This could be scary. Shockwave is available, but a lot of people are still very healthy. Febi's only got a chalice, not enough AP to work with, and that was a well-coordinated dive from H2K.
And it's all coordinated from the fact that Gamsu used his teleport a little while ago to get down back to the bottom lane. And, you know, we were looking at H2K and the way that they went aggressive in the early games against Origin in the semi-final series. They were very patient, but over-patient at setting up dives. They took too long, and I was worried that that was going to be the same thing, but the problem was Fnatic couldn't group the people in the top side in order to counteract that. H2K managed to get the initial dive off, and you can see Odo was here in plenty of time just to get this gank off. Look, Gamsu, nothing he can do on the bottom side. Mid lane is still running up, no real options there, much better out of H2K, even if it was a little slow.
But as you said, Gamsu, nothing you can really do in that situation. Febiven was also being chased up by Ryu. I kind of feel like Febiven going up there caught H2K a little by surprise. I'm not sure if there was a communication breakdown, because they definitely could have collapsed on him as Ryu was coming in as well, but he just kind of strolled through the entire team. He's like, what's up? And to go to the tower.
Yeah, I think at this point they were just looking at...
Again? Oh, it feels so bad.
Oh, man.
Props to Spirit.
Spirit's just all over this red buff. I mean, you look at that, I think they were just respecting Febi's shockwave a little too much. Right now, at this point in the game, he doesn't have damage. He's got chalice. But they certainly didn't want to stack on the ball.
Supportal combat. Do it! Fight! Chomp cheating. Winter's bite. Rekkles is coming to back up Klaj. Fella comes down as Vander stands behind. Jankos gets away. Not true 1v1 supportal, but I think it'll still count for it. was lingering there behind Ryu, but no real threat to go in. And you talked about Spirit and how well he's playing around that red buff in jungle. Spirit has shown multiple times this year just how big his backpack can be when he decides to show up and when he decides to perform at his best. IEM World Championship comes to mind as the most impressive for the year, I feel, of those Lee Sin games over the course of the few days. And now we need to see if we can channel some of that performance into this Graves game.
Yeah, he was like, I've seen MXG from that tournament. I'll try and do the same thing here. And so far, he's just done so well in the early game. He's just definitely just straight up counter-jungled and out-jungled Jankos.
And I mean, the meta right now in the jungle favors what Spirit wants to do. Coming in through the first week of playoffs, he was ranked 1 when you look at the CSD. Not that it's overly important for junglers, but when Spirit starts eclipsing people pretty handily in the early game, it adds up. It really puts pressure on Jankos to make plays elsewhere.
Yeah, and you can see the rest of H2K making a play on the tower. That will even out the towers. So top and bottom are now down, 1 apiece. Evens out the gold as well. And that will realign H2K to temporary 100 gold leaders. Does that mean so much as we get to 10 minutes in the game?
They got extra ward out.
That's it. I've been warding actually very effectively, slightly more than Fnatic throughout most of the games. And Ryu will be gifted the first blue buff. So lane's going to start swapping around and realigning, while Febiven's also going to pick the package up.
Yeah, he's again gunning for that Triforce, and because he's not mid lane, he doesn't really need to go Hex Drink. He's going straight up to that top lane. Double pings come out from both teams, so they're aware of where Febiven is going to, and should be able to collect this wave. Yeah, he's probably going to lose like 1 minion, but he's good to go. No, not even that 1 minion.
But look at what Fnatic have recognized here. As they move up with their duo lane and they hear the package get picked up, that's a big sign that if they hold the 2v2 on the top lane, Rekkles and Klaj are going to get double TP'd on. Ryu and Odo are going to show up. It's not quite available for Odo, but if they had stayed there, it would have been. In the long lane, no tower available. That's how you lose the early game. It's by pushing too far aggressive, away from towers, and 2 TPs pop up, you die, and that's it. Because there's no one to help you. You've only got 1 on your team, and Gamsu's not going to be enough.
Clearing up his crab as well. That's another mark for Kindred that's being denied. But Jankos is looking towards the Herald himself, and over the water he'll help him. It should be an easy take. Killer coming out from Klaj.
Exploratory.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
It was actually quite distracting because I was focusing on the Herald and all of a sudden the Revice comes up. But regardless, Klaj has access to the ultimate. Subjugate is available. Flash and Exhaust going to be so important against Kindred copy Ryze when somebody gets in their faces. Vander, no Exhaust this time around, but he's much less of a threat because nobody really wants to get in the faces of H2K if you're on the squad.
Yeah, also a reminder, this is another game where H2K double TP versus only 1 TP from Fnatic, something to keep track of as the game goes on.
And what that has meant, in a completely direct sense, is that Rekkles just sat top for like a minute, doing nothing, because he was waiting for the wave to push towards him, because he can't step further forward. As soon as he goes in, there comes the double TP, he's going to get ended. But now it's pushing towards him, he can clear it. This gives Odo the freedom to push bottom lane at the same time.
Ryu just pushing out the mid lane real quick with extra power, and should be good to go. Odoamne in the bottom lane as well, and there's 1-on-1. How are the junglers doing? Jankos, haven't really seen much from him at the moment. Only 6 stacks on the Devourer so far, only 1 stack on his passive.
Yeah, not as effective as he's been throughout some of the games. But you're taking stock of all these different items. Gamsu's got such a good CS advantage over Odo. This Klaj will run away from Vander, but then the opposite is true when you look at Febiven and Rekkles.
Yeah.
Really big differences between the respective players. Ryu's looking for Febiven, the shockwave comes out, but nothing really further comes from that. And again, I'm just getting a bit too excited. It's game 5 with that 3rd place title on the line.
You're looking at a Ryze and an Orianna at 12 minutes in. Yeah. Lots of damage, guys.
Their like kill potential is like 50%. It's like you can't kill someone from like anything above that. But yeah, fighting over wards currently, and should be Klaj taking that one away. There you go. But they do know that the pink ward is there now. Just placing this defensive vision. Even from like games like this, you can see how the mentality of the team is from where the wards are being placed. Fnatic right now is just like, I'm going to place this pink ward down, and this will even give me vision and knowledge because we know that someone's going to be there at some point.
Yeah, Fnatic have had to concede a lot of their own topside jungle here just because of how this matchup is played out. They obviously don't have top tower, so they lose a lot of the ability to play here. Spirit, careful.
Jankos actually smites that one away, gets himself another passive stack, which I think will potentially be important as both these teams are still very even. It's only 13 minutes in.
Yeah, only 13 minutes in, but look at this gap that is in the bottom lane. 139 to 97. Rekkles is heavily getting outfarmed, and he has to, always step back. Can never really be pushed up against Febiven here, and Febiven is just going to utilize that, to his absolute strength. They've got a third of his turret health down already.
Classic H2K, chip away at the turret, people respond, then you back away, just rinse and repeat in a different lane, and then eventually you come back, and that's how it's all set up for you to take another one. Spirit, 3 out of 3 red buffs in this game, but how much does that really matter? Because Jankos has been able to achieve more on the rest of the map.
I think it did somewhat unlock Gamsu, at the very least. That sort of pressure down bottom. So if Gamsu has a pivotal teleport, then I think you can go hashtag win.
Yeah, you can.
But
yeah.
until we see the Spirit Gamsu impact, it is just at the cost of controlling your own quadrant of the jungle.
Oh, you got to tie Febi into that though. Yeah, the shockwave of the advance is going to be what realistically is going to win teamfights for Fnatic if they can hit it. Dragon goes down, and you can see Fnatic. That's the first Dragon that they've taken first in a game here in this series. So, there's a lot of firsts. See if Fnatic will be the first of 3 wins in this best of 5.
I mean, somebody has to be.
Yeah.
Right? There's a 50% chance of that.
Just saying.
So that was play-by-play level commentary there, Stress. I expect
It was, I meant it sarcastically.
I'm throwing you under the bus. Well, gentlemen, we talked about the big CS difference between Rekkles and Febiven. Not only is Rekkles on a slightly slow scaling champion in terms of the item build, doing Cull as well, and his opponent Febiven is completed that Trinity Force. So there is just such a staggering difference between what those two can do impacting the game. And, with this blue buff losing some patience, just delays reuse of kills.
Jankos and buffs in this game, man.
Oh, it's not again.
Oh, no, Dragons are okay.
All
right. I freaked out for a second there. That actually, because I thought it was dead, and I think they did too. Anyway, Vander going into the top lane, flying Rekkles, they know he's there. But still pushing up, and this is the rinse and repeat play. They go back up to top lane, get a bit more damage there, and now Jankos is coming in, so they have the numbers advantage, and they should be able to get some more damage on this tower.
The problem is Rekkles can't ult here because Braum just puts his shield up, so there's no real way of clearing this wave of minions without Ori being here, and Klaj steps up, gets cleared out. There's the minion wave down, but again, it's a third of the health gone.
Every single time. And now that's so low, Febiven's probably just trying to take pot shots at it with the Sheen proc as well, when the next minion wave comes in. And Fnatic don't have a way to instantly get out of that wave before it hits tower, because True Shot Barrage not going to cut it against Braum.
Ryu's already in the jungle, teleport's not available, so if anything were to happen, he was relatively close by. Tower will be knocked over uncontested by Fnatic, and they're starting to lose further ground in the top quadrant of the jungle.
I like this though. They preemptively moved to mid lane to see if they could maybe siege against that tower, because Ryu was heading up, and maybe try and trade towers, even though it's inefficient, is better than nothing. But Ryu went back to the mid lane in time, and the top tower died too fast, so they couldn't even respond.
Couldn't even respond at that point. Fnatic, is that going to be the tagline for these last 3 games? Couldn't even respond, because it has all been H2K.
I'm so happy you mentioned that, because for anybody that has potentially just joined us in Game 5, Fnatic were given all the time in the world to respond to Games 1 and 2, because H2K were not aggressive.
Yeah.
Because H2K played very passive. Then they made a play, it was the wrong one, and Fnatic were victorious. We'll expand on that thought in a second. The Spirit's not Ryu.
Turns the corner and does not want to find a Ryze behind it. Tries to jump over the wall, collateral damage. Luckily, Febiven is there in time to save him, and Ryu will be backing off.
At this point, though, he is still fairly squishy when it comes to a trade against the Graves like that in enclosed areas. If you take that end of the line, you are going to get chunked through. And Ryu, as you said, knew that Febi was coming across, knew the shield, knew the potential for the turnaround was there for Fnatic, but they've managed to zone back Odo from this top side. Now Fnatic want to push top tower themselves.
Klaj clearing away this pink ward, and Odoamne, there's nothing you can do. He just has to back off here.
But look at this, they're trading it for the bottom side as well. Fnatic are going to lose their tower down on the bottom side to Febiven. In fact, that tower was already down. Excuse me. No, he didn't just get it. Okay.
Yeah, he did.
I got
Just
baited
yourself.
by my monitor. I turned around and was just like, missed the tower going down.
It was secured by Febiven, equaled out by Fnatic, still down in gold. And just to extend on that storyline, when H2K turned up the heat, when H2K applied pressure to Fnatic, they cracked. Games 3 and 4, and we'll find out if it's going to happen again. Yet another inner turret that H2K arrive at first and will go down nearly uncontested by Fnatic. I mean, that true shot barrage really didn't do anything. 2,000 gold ahead, H2K.
Okay, so taking a look at some of the previous games in recap in this general series, I'm going to hold that thought for a second. Like, maybe finds Jankos, but I think he's good to go. Because H2K have had these games where they haven't been able to teamfight. That's been like a mainstay of one of their problems. Fnatic exploits that in the first 2 games. Then they started picking really good teamfighting champions, and they were able to fight back because Fnatic literally couldn't fight them. But now in Game 5, it's not as simple as just Maokai going in and starting a fight up. So that's something that Fnatic could exploit. But then on the other side, H2K have just been playing the H2K game and taking all of these towers. So there's so much back and forth that makes this literally go either way.
Yeah, that is certainly the case. A couple of you might be wondering, like, hey, that true shot barrage didn't do too much in that bottom lane. So the interaction between Braum's shield is if the projectile even clips the corner of the shield, it will get destroyed. So that's why it looked like it kind of missed, but he actually caught it despite jumping to the side. So again, it's just such an easy tool for Vander to just go, nope, nope, not gonna let you wave clear up on this.
Yeah, definitely the case, and it worked out in favor of H2K. Approaching 20 minutes, 1 kill to 0, 4 towers to 2. And despite the fact that Fnatic have a dragon, it is H2K that are in the lead and dictating the game. Now, in the first 2, or the very first game, when H2K pulled off that double teleport, that's what turned it around for Fnatic. A good team fight, and they've got champions that want to really be involved in team fights. So let's see how H2K played out. 20 seconds to Dragon, 5 seconds to Baron's available. It's a bit early for that one, but it is around the next 5 to 10 that we're going to see these teams focus.
But you've got to look at Fnatic's comp is, yes, they can team fight very well, but once their team fighting tools are down, once the shockwave is down, the collateral damage is down, H2K have a lot more consistent damage with this Ryze, with this Corki, so it certainly depends on how the beginning of the fight goes. Also, you've got to key into the fact there is a Kindred here, so even if that wombo combo lands, if it doesn't kill Jankos, he's going to keep everybody else alive.
Yep. What doesn't kill Jankos will make him stronger, but not quite, he's not alive. Jankos going for Dragon now, and this will be the first one of the game. We've actually not really been getting long games in this series. Fnatic, Rekkles is going to be leading on charge, I'm not sure about that one, but now the rest of the squad is here. This is dropping very low, Fnatic.
It's stolen!
After it again, unreal. TP! Here comes the TP, they're actually going to go in for this fight.
Let's find out what they can do. The package has already been used. True Shot Barrage flies across all of H2K, but there's just not enough damage. H2K are tearing through Fnatic's front line. 2 members of them down already. H2K only losing Jankos. H2K are looking for the tower.
Now try and seize this one in. They've got the caster minions there. This should be going down. There's nothing that Fnatic can do about this one.
Fnatic at this point are going to try and just stand there, but again, the shield is too strong from Braum. We're seeing Vander's Braum performances just completely shut down Fnatic, but in that fight, what slowed Fnatic's aggression there was Febi dying early, and they need him if they want to have any hope in team fighting. TP comes in from the back, but look at the damage that went down on Febi. Got caught by everything, and the Braum ult was just the icing on the cake. It didn't matter that Jankos died in this team fight because H2K have enough to keep going forward and continue to take out Fnatic.
Really good, clear communication in terms of the targeting. Every single member of H2K just dogpiled on Febi and didn't give him a chance to breathe. That was something that H2K could not do throughout most of the series. They extend that lead to now 3,000 gold.
It was also really impressive because they all collapsed the instant Odoamne came in with that TP. It's like, heroic charge is everything. And if they can repeat that, they'll be in really good shape, because if a good shockwave gets off by Febiven and the dream happens with their wombo combo, then H2K could really suffer in these fights, but so far they've had really nice setups.
Well, I mean, Fnatic are banking everything on these shockwaves going off, because Febi, as his second item, has gone the rabbit, so it's just like, just give me AP, guys. Just, I need to win these fights. I don't care about staying alive. Just give me the shockwave. Give me what I need to be able to do to shield, to use that dissonance, the damage, everything that he wants, that extra AP, rather than keeping himself alive.
Yeah, the strength of that shield in conjunction with the strength of the armor and MR for True Grit for Graves, plus the damage reduction from Maokai. There's actually a lot of hidden tankiness that will come from the Fnatic squad, even disregarding the Trundle Subjugate. So let's find out if they can get those extended fights. But it's going to be difficult when, yet again, Fnatic are playing responsive and reactive, and there's a Satyr Devourer in Jankos as well.
And also, Fnatic are playing on 2 lanes. Fnatic cannot play on 3, whereas H2K, on the other hand, they've got Ryu with a teleport. Oda doesn't have his available yet, but he was pushing up in the top side. It's enough to drag Gamsu up there in a moment or two, and Gamsu's no TP. So it means that H2K always have this option to look for and engage whenever Fnatic don't have Gamsu's TP available.
Odoamne was looking for potential flag opportunity. He is off to the side, but he doesn't have the flash either. In fact, there's not a lot of summoners up in this game. Only Gamsu has his flash right now. Oh, Febiven as well, because we've had so many big skirmishes. H2K. H2K.
I got your pulse.
Yeah. Gamsu as well in the bottom lane. Still 7 out of 10 is not bad. Carrying out this one. And 2 tank items. Again, in the situation where Odoamne was, where he's just this big wall of health that is very difficult to get through, but his backline is fairly squishy, and we've seen it in those last fights. Because, yes, you have those hidden tankiness stats, but Graves has to stack up in the fight.
Yeah, he does, and there's a lot of stacking just in this entire series. You look at how both teams have had later game components to themselves. No tier on the side of Fnatic's mid laner this time around, but, you know, Rekkles has had one, Ryu has had one, just this later game focus. Fnatic have let it slip in the last 2 games.
Yeah, they really have, and it's been H2K that found a gear that they've not found in a while. So, very impressive play. 25 minutes up, Fnatic still only sitting on 2 towers. The mid outer turret is still being defended fervently by Ryu, and H2K starting to set up the Baron plays.
And here it is again. Gamsu has to clear out bottom lane. It's only a small wave, but he has to go down there. Rekkles goes up to the top lane to push it out, and that means H2K have the freedom to at least clear and decide whether they want to start this Baron or not. They're going to pull back, because they can't really effectively do this. Jankos clears out the ward, Fnatic start to group, but again, the option is there.
But is Spirit inside Jankos' head now? Because there's been so many smite battles in this game, more than we've really seen in the entire series, and Spirit's generally been getting the better of them. I think one went the way of Jankos, one stack of Raptors, and everything else has gone the way of Fnatic. Even that Dragon a little while back. Two of the carries who try and clear out that Inkborg, because you might aggro Baron.
It's a turn on the side.
Yeah.
A lot of damage onto Klaj by Ryu. Running through that mana pool, but it doesn't really matter because Ryu is still defending that tower. 25 minutes in. And this arms race just continues to grow. More tanks for the Tonks up top, more damage for your AD carries, and I think very important for Rekkles. He's got that frozen fist. He's working towards a player of the ranking as well.
Yeah, he is. I'm interested though in Klaj's performance in this game, because last game really Gamsu and Klaj were the weak points for Fnatic. And in this game, Gamsu is yet to die. Klaj has had a much better game this time. Isn't constantly looking to put himself in the firing line by going over aggressive on an Alistair. This time he just puts a pillar up from a distance. He's able to then facilitate the poke that comes from Rekkles. And Fnatic possibly could, look to take some kind of skirmish, but the problem is they're behind. And H2K are trying to compound this advantage they've got from having 5 towers up. They have a good lead in this game to just constantly tear Fnatic around the map until at some point H2K go for the Baron, and then it's on that smite wall.
Or on that smite wall. It's funny as well because H2K actually put a lot of bans towards Klaj in the first game, and the first couple games with Braum and Alistair, but that's Trundle. He's been performing really well. When he was not on Trundle, he performed worse. So it's just interesting how he's turned up in this game with a different champion.
And also gives you some insight into what your opponents, what H2K felt their opponents were strong at, you know? It tells you ban 2 make Klaj uncomfortable, and Fnatic going, well, we're expecting that, so that's why they practice the Trundle. Spirit takes a big chunk of damage here from Febiven and Vander. Nothing really comes of it. Dragon is live. The last time there was a fight and it was stolen by Fnatic. There's no one around from Fnatic to challenge this time out.
The tension is building, but it's not going to be the catalyst, or at least this Dragon isn't going to be the catalyst for a fight right here. Because Fnatic, there's no real chance of H2K getting 5 Dragons in this one, so they can just let one go. Or they could also find Klaj as well, as he's just trying to ward. So they get the flash, which is big.
Very important, because that's the second time Ryu's had a little bit of time to chunk down Klaj. Klaj being too far forward, Klaj being out of position. And Ryu a little early on starting to attack. Turn attention to Spirit, that's a flash away. Spirit's used the collateral damage and he's flashed over the wall. It was flash for flash, but no ultimate for Spirit either.
Now H2K all back away, back into the mid lane. And everyone goes back to what they were doing. Just trying to find these small picks, but that's what it's going to open up now.
But what this means is if Spirit has to contend to smite down in a smite war, it is a one-way trip for him now. He does not have his flash available to come back out of the pit, so if H2K are in a situation where they start the Baron and have full control over it, Spirit is giving his life regardless of what happens. So has to keep that in mind. Jankos will be fine. He has that mobility. with the Q if he's in that aggressive position at the Baron.
And you can just feel the importance of this game. It's game 5. 3 and 4 was so dramatic. There was loads of skirmishes all game long. These champions have barely touched one of them for the last 10 minutes because so much rests on one team fight, one big objective, or more importantly, one mistake.
Hey, we've seen a game end in 25 minutes, now already past that point, so yeah, one single team fight could just end it, and these teams are rightfully cautious, because we're in the 5th game, all comes down to this. There's no safety net anymore for Fnatic, and that's the way they were playing, I feel, in game 3 and 4. They were like, well, we just need to win one, and even if they win, we're still not out of it, but they are gonna lose the series if they lose this one, so you can just feel it as you lose.
Yeah, there is a lot of tension in here. A couple of members of Fnatic support trying to just build throughout the crowd here. I hope you're picking that up on the mics, but it is fairly subdued compared to how games 1 and 2 was. H2K though, they want to start this Baron off. This is what we were talking about. Potentially the Smite fight to take full control of this. No, it's too...
Yeah, look, Odo was down bottom. He has teleport available. There was no vision on Gamsu, and he was running towards the fountain, trying to get those home guard buffs. He's got a lot of tankiness in that Maokai. The front line for Fnatic is strong, but they have to get rid of Ryu, Febiven, or Jankos quickly to win a team fight. Shockwave is bounced away from. Febiven is completely aware that he had the timing and he makes it out. There's going to be a turnaround. Odo, he's teleporting in. Fnatic might be caught.
Glacial Fisher comes out. Ryu, he's going to jump in. They're trying to get a range, but they just can't quite make it happen. Fnatic a little too far back.
Oh.
Far too far back, and Fnatic just, you know, looking for a counter engage, but they haven't got that shockwave. I think they were taking the break a little too early as that sombrero came out on the shockwave, but Klaj now forced to back away.
Is this an H2K teleport from games 1 and 2? This is what we will find out. Ryu has access to his TP, Gamsu does as well. They're locked down. Spirit against the wall. Odo's got 4 members of Fnatic in front of him. The Glacial Fisher's already been used, and Fnatic are trying to peel away. Jankos is in from the side. Collateral damage and the re-engage.
But Gamsu's gone in. Ryu, he's jumping low.
They've got the kill! Ryu is down! Fnatic are looking for more. They've turned their attention onto Odoamne as the Blade of the Rune King comes out. That's slowing Odo. One more mystic shot. It's a kill. Rekkles has taken him down. Gamsu is so beefy. Lambda Spike will buy time, and it throws Jankos to the borders. Febiven picks up the kill, and H2K get aced.
5 and 0. Look at the death timers. 40 seconds, and they're pushing in. This is a repeat of game 2.
Fnatic are looking for the inhibitor, and the crowd has exploded here in Rotterdam. Back to the game from Fnatic, and they are taking this inhibitor.
They really are. There's 30 seconds left.
Is this
Fnatic are looking for the Nexus. They're onto a Nexus turret. The crowd is on their feet and losing it.
No way is this happening. The Nexus turrets are going down, and Fnatic, as they take down this Nexus, they are in sole possession of 3rd place. 50 points on the road to World. Fnatic, congratulations.
And for another game this series, blink and you miss it. H2K looked for the teleports, did not find it, and got punished for overreaching.
Not only punished, but Fnatic just went through like a freight train. Mid-outer was still standing before that fight, and Fnatic took that, took inner, inhib, and the Nexus.
The faces on Fnatic ecstatic, and rightfully so. What a way to end that series. In honestly true Fnatic fashion. Upsetting H2K at the final hurdle.
Tough, and you know it was a call to go forward that cost the game. But the man on your screen right now, Febi, smiling ears to ear in front of his countrymen, in front of his hometown crowds.
Gotta feel good.
There is a standing ovation in the hall.
Everyone chanting his name.
You could see that on the same time, Odo looking, you know, at a loss for words.
Right.
I mean, Fnatic don't need words right now. They'll just bask in the glory of winning. But you've got to look at that from H2K. It looked to be a good fight. They knew there was no shockwave until halfway through the fight, but something went horribly wrong as they were moving forward, and Fnatic had the tools available as the fight went into phase 2. Shockwave comes out, Jankos pulled out, and Fnatic are the victors.